We'll start with the third topic. This is a delicate slot, which sir has already told, post-lunch drowsiness and the thinning crowd. But it's a very interesting topic. It relates to all of us, and a lot of work is happening. So C4I2 systems and Netcentric operations is primarily in front of us, the way the wars are being fought today. And you could see it that the character of the conflict is being rewritten. The fight is not being decided by the platform. Today, it is being decided by the speed and accuracy with which a force can sense, decide, and act, even before an adversary can realize a decision has been made. And what is one of our major problems, and that is why I was talking about this chunking, embedding, and vector data, that there is tremendous amount of data that is available with most of the service elements. And it is basically called Deathbed data. Sensors are there everywhere, be it satellites for communication, ISR, imaging, the radars on the platforms, the ESM sensors, the sonobuoys, the sonics, the UAV data. So there is huge amount of raw, unprocessed data which sits in silos between the three services. And this data is of use to no one unless and until it can be analyzed and segregated, and you could put it in the correct places where it can be used seamlessly amongst the forces. Now, basically, if you look at from the adversary's point of view, he knows that he cannot defeat every aircraft, every missile, every ship, or every tank. So what he does is that he is going to basically try to disrupt the network which binds this data that allows these services to operate as one coherent force. And this is already playing out in the recent conflicts. If you look at the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the satellite communication network was disrupted by a cyber attack. This happened immediately when this started. Thousands of terminals went offline. The satellites were not shot, neither the ground stations were bombed, but all the terminals went offline. The network was penetrated and disrupted. You could look at Epic Fury. The US employed an enormous fleet of electronic aircraft, attack aircrafts, AEW, Recce, communication and strike platforms, and explicitly placed Iranian command and control and military communication as their primary target. So basically, everybody is looking at the networks. So wars are no longer being won by the best platforms, but by the best connected force. And victory will only go to the side which has the most data, will not go to the side which has most data, but the force that has been able to turn this data into something tangible which can be utilized. Let me explain it further. A fighter aircraft without connectivity is still a fighter aircraft. A ship without connectivity is still a ship. A battalion without connectivity is still a battalion. But connect them, link them into a network, and they start becoming a single unit and a single force to reckon with. Now let's look at C4I2, command, control, communication, computers, intelligence and information. This is no more an enabler. It has become the backbone of network-centric operations. If our platforms and weapons are the muscle and firepower, the C4I2 has become the central nervous system that brings this to life. What it does is that it shortens the sensor to the shooter timeline from minutes to seconds. So what does this network-centric operation really mean? At its core, it means linking every sensor, every decision maker, and every shooter into a single grid so that information generated anywhere, anytime is available to whosoever requires it in near real time. And I'm using the word near real time. This is what somebody had mentioned in the previous sessions, which will shorten the OODA loop or the observe, orient, decide and act loop. And this speed differential is very often the entire margin for victory. So let's now focus on the shared picture that we are talking about, which is also called the common operating picture. This is the single shared near real-time picture of the battle space where every friendly unit, every threat, every contact across land, sea or air is shared to every commander, be it at theater level or be it at tactical levels. And for us in the Navy, this is not abstract. our maritime domain awareness effort already fuses coastal radar chains, our own sensors, integral sensors, the wide shipping information exchange data, the LRIT, VTMS, the fisheries data, the drug information. So this is already happening at IMAC, which is the Information Management and Analysis Center, and the IFC-IOR, which is the Information Fusion Center for the IOR. And we are already creating a common operating picture, and we've been working with it. Primarily, the reason why Navy has to work with it, if you look at peninsular India, we have 68 million square kilometers of water on either side of us. So the value cannot be overstated for a common operating picture, and this common operating picture would prevent fratricide or any duplication of effort, and it can optimize our efforts in terms of getting a better maritime domain awareness picture. So near real-time communication is no more a convenience if you want to share this picture, but it has now become a combat requirement. And this weighs on the Navy the most, primarily because at sea you are always beyond line of sight, and we rely heavily on satellite communication or HF communication, and the bandwidths are severely limited. So if a link is jammed or spoofed, it can hurt the fleet very hard. And that link must ride on a network that is genuinely robust and resilient, because an adversary now treats our network as much as a center of gravity, like any airfield, port, or an armored column. So these networks, what will the enemy do? These networks will be jammed, spoofed, probed, and attacked before even the first shot is fired. An architecture built on a single node, single frequency, or a single point of failure is likely to fail exactly when we need it the most. And that is why redundancy, mesh connectivity, electronic protection, and the ability to degrade gracefully become the norms for the day. Now, jointness, if you look at, is no more an option. Tighter integration between Army, Navy, and Air Force is already happening. It is an operational imperative. Although each service sees the battle space through a different lens. The Army sees the close and deep land battle. The Navy sees a vast maritime domain, surface, subsurface, and air. The Air Force sees the contest in the skies. So no single services picture, however excellent is, it cannot be complete on its own. Only when these pictures are fused together do our commanders get a picture for the battle space with which they can fight the next battles. Now let me take a moment to tell you how and what the Indian Navy has already been doing for the time being. The Indian Navy is ready for the network-centric operations today. If we start with space, we already have our dedicated communication satellite called GSAT-7 Rukmani. And recently, we have already launched GSAT-7R, which is the heaviest communication satellite, giving the fleet secure, wide area connectivity over the complete IOR. And it is not only in theory that we do this. In practice, if you look at the recently concluded TROPEX, one of our major operational exercises, Rukmani alone networked more than 60 ships and 75 aircrafts together seamlessly. Now, if you come down to the platforms, our software-defined radio program gives us reprogrammable family of radios that can change waveforms in software rather than hardware, and we operate our indigenous data link. We keep talking about the American Link 16. We have our own Link 2, and the best part is not only the Link 2, including the waveforms, have been made indigenously by naval officers at VESI, and not bought from a foreign shelf, but completely built by us for us. And in doing so, we are not in isolation. The Navy is already integrated with the Army and the Air Force at every level, be it strategic, operational, or tactical. Which brings me to where all this is going to lead us to. Finally, the end state is cooperative engagement capability, the CEC, and CEC extends the logic of common operational picture from shared awareness to shared engagement. Data from any ship, unit, aircraft, ground radar, anything is shared across forces in near real time, so that any shooter on any platform in any service can engage a threat using tracks which their own sensors have not produced. And this is actually we are very familiar with this in the Navy. Cooperative engagement, if you look at, was born at sea. Most of our weapon ranges are more than our sensor ranges. A warship launching on a track which is handed over by an airborne aircraft or a consort is something which we call as OTHT, and we have been doing this for last more than 50 years. Extend this CEC across all three services and you reach the true end goal, a force that fights not as three services in proximity, but as a single cooperatively engaged system, sensing together, deciding together, and striking together. Now, before I close, let me say a word directly to our friends from the industry. Very few of them are there now. Basically, your role is vital. C4I2 and NCO cannot be built on imported off-the-shelf equipment. Cybersecurity and indigenous platforms, AI systems, etc. are non-negotiable security priorities. We need Indian industry to be not just suppliers, but become co-creators of strategy capability with us. And with that, let me hand over to our speakers. We have a distinguished lineup, which was already mentioned. And for the start, let me invite Brigadier Harish Kumar, DDG Concept, for the battlefield management systems. And thereafter, we'll hear Air Commodore Pradeep Batra. Over to you.